Hello everyone and welcome back to the Crumbs podcast, where we pick up the pieces
of whatever's left behind.
And today we're going to be talking about one of my favourite things.
Food.
More specifically, the sad part about food.
Yes, we are actually going to discuss dieting.
Ugh, I have a headache already.
I know, it kind of has a very negative connotation, doesn't it?
Yeah, but what is the actual definition of a diet?
Well, if we want to get technical, a diet is basically anything that a living organism eats.
However, I think in a social context, a diet is more so associated with to eat or not to eat, basically.
Yes, that is the question.
And when we talk about different diets through mainly pop culture, we assume that one size fits all, and the truth is we all have different lives and preferences, but we often make the mistake of believing that every single fad diet that we come across will definitely work for us.
Yeah, and just to make something clear, we are not experts.
I thought we were.
We think we are.
Yeah.
We're not experts. It's just interesting to us and it's based on what we've learned over the course of our life.
Yeah.
So when we say diets, there are a lot of negative words that are associated with it.
Yeah. Like hunger. That's a very negative word.
Yeah, I was actually curious and I jumped on Google, my best friend. I typed in the word diet and the one word that was associated with it was, drumroll please.
That was terrible. That was so off-tune. What was it though?
It was fat. Surprise, surprise. And you know what the auto search words were? Fat, fat loss diet, fatty liver diet, fat loss, fat free, fat burning, fatty disease, and fat pizza.
What?
I know, how random.
Oh, now I'm hungry. But anyways, usually when you go on a diet, your aim is to lose weight, right?
Yes.
That's usually like the aim of it.
Yeah, because,
since the word fat is associated with it so much. I have a question. When someone loses weight, where does the weight go?
A lot of people think it turns into energy.
That sounds like a riddle.
Yeah.
When someone loses the weight, where does it go?
There's this amazing TED Talk and it's called The Mathematics of Weight Loss. And this speaker actually talks about where fat actually goes, and he talks about how it's actually water and carbon dioxide.
That's so weird because when I think of water and carbon dioxide, I think of something that's invisible. I assume, like, when we think of fat, we think of this, like, lump that, like, disappears, you know?
Yes, we think of butter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we think of. The chemical formula is C55H1046, which basically means that if you have more carbon and hydrogen atoms, which actually have mass, it's not invisible.
Oh, yeah.
Then you are fatter, and if you have less, then you are not as fat. That was a very interesting talk because it kind of broke down fat mathematically using biochemistry, which a lot of people don't think about because we actually think that fat is energy, but it isn't. And we'll get to why this is important later on.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed. Like, when you lose weight, you burn the fat, you convert it into energy, and that's how you lose it. I think lots of people think that way as well, which I guess is not the case.
Yes, and I think it's because of this lack of information, like we don't think about fat mathematically, that we actually fall for all these diets. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay, so back to the fad diets. What is basically the purpose of this podcast? What are we going to explore specifically? Fad diets.
Yep, that's it. We're just going to go through our favorite fad diets and the ones that we kind of know about.
But first, a little history lesson. I promise this is not boring. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. We know that diets have been around for thousands upon thousands of years. Like, since the rise of civilization, I feel like people have been trying to either lose or gain weight. No one wants to stay the same. You're either too skinny or too fat.
So you can never win. Basically, just give up. Anyways, so what our diets are usually based on is on where we live, the time in history, and what people want to basically sell us.
Yeah, that's true.
For example, in Mauritania, young girls are brutally force-fed a diet up to 16,000 calories a day.
Whoa.
That's
a lot.
That's more than 4 times that of a male bodybuilder. And this is to prepare them for marriage. Just in comparison, The Rock Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he eats around 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah, so that's a lot of food. 16,000 calories. Thousands upon thousands. Wow. I mean, it tells us a lot about the ideal of feminine beauty in Mauritania. It's like, if you think about it, it's like our obsession with being super thin. In America, even in Australia, in most countries. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they are actually inclined to marry a bigger woman?
Because to the ancient Moors, a bigger wife is usually a symbol of a man's wealth. It's basically proof that he had enough riches to sort of feed her while others basically died of starvation.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a sign of wealth and also in a way a sign of health because you're not dead.
Yeah, and geographically Mauritania is in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So they don't have as many influences from media and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that they've kept, that kind of culture.
But think of that imagery, brutally force-fed.
I know. Can you imagine? Oh, we need to move to Mauritania. That's where I need to be. I mean, this to us is like, whoa, they want to be fat.
And they're being like force-fed.
Yeah, it's so different to what the general public believe and what we perceive.
Yeah.
But is that very different to like what we perceive and the lengths we go to be thin? Like they're force-fed, but we starve.
I think it's just the shock value, and if the roles were reversed, they'd probably feel the same way. Because I think force-feeding yourself to attain a certain image, I think that's also, it's kind of difficult because I want to say it's like a mental disorder, sort of like anorexia or bulimia, but it's so tied in with the culture. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to say that. They're both very similar extremes, although they are the opposite. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so even though they're very different, they are actually the same. Because just as they are so obsessed with gaining weight and becoming fat, we are obsessed with losing weight and becoming thin. So it's not very different.
Did you know in Mauritania, they have professional force feeders?
I know, people actually make a living out of forcing people to eat. Wait a minute, that's like...
We have weight loss coaches, personal trainers, laxatives, literally pills you can take to... I don't know, and shakes... essentially designed to all make you lose weight. So is it different?
Yeah,
is it really different?
I don't think it is. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to us, but they're probably on the other side of the world, sitting there going, did you know in Australia, people want to be thin? Oh my God.
And I'm just thinking about the arguments as some arguments that people would have. Some people may argue, well, at least fitness coaches and stuff want you to be healthy. Let's think about the Victoria's Secret diet and fashion shows and stuff like that. Before a fashion show, they go days without eating. Yes. So they're both very unhealthy sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I love how the word detox is used to substitute starvation.
Yes.
I went on a detox. No, you didn't eat. You were starving.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that there is no such thing as a detox? The only real detox that happens is in your liver naturally.
Yes.
There's no such thing as a body detox.
I mean, the human body is incredible. It is able to heal itself and it usually knows what you need.
Yeah, it knows what it's doing.
Yeah, it's been doing it for thousands upon thousands. I'm not going to get over that. Thousands upon thousands.
Where did you get that from?
I don't know.
Is it the Tana Mojo thing?
Yes, it is.
Thousands upon thousands of people. Yeah.
Yes, it is from that.
Okay, so back to our little history lesson. So in 1028, which doesn't even sound like a real year,
yeah,
William the Conqueror was born, and he was actually healthy most of his life, but then he became so overweight in later years that he went on a pure liquid diet consisting of almost nothing but, can you guess? Alcohol.
oh yes, I remember. And I think he wanted to lose weight. I mean, that's the first, I think, diet to kind of be documented. He wanted to lose weight because he wanted to start riding his horse again, but this is so ironic. He actually died riding a horse. He had a riding accident. That's how he died.
Oh my god, the irony.
So he lost weight to have a longer life and to be able to do the things he loved, only to die on a horse. How ironic. Which shows you no diet is worth it.
That's a message you want to take away from it. This is going to sound so stupid and so ignorant, but how in like 1028 did they know like eating and exercise made you like thin?
Well, they didn't. That's why he went on a liquid diet and just drank alcohol.
So they knew food correlated with your weight. I'm really underestimating them, aren't I?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm stupid. Anyways, so the next person we're going to be talking about is literally a queen. Like, I'm not saying, oh, she's sassy, she's a queen. She's literally Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria, I'm pretty sure we all know who she is. I think she's probably one of the most prolific queens in history.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think we all know Queen Victoria because she was one of the first female queens to kind of do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She was like literally and metaphorically a queen.
So yeah, as a child, Victoria, can I call her Vicky?
No. That's just odd.
So as a child, Queen Victoria, she was basically subjected to a very strict, controlled eating. Just as an example, her dinner might be just bread and milk.
Which is a lot for the West. Like, you're eating bread.
And milk. So as a result, the young Vicky, she said, when I get older, I'm going to, because she had so much resentment, she's like, when I get older, I'm going to eat mutton every single day. Do you know what mutton is?
Yeah, it's meat.
Like just a slab of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And she just showed no intention of depriving herself once she reached adulthood. And obviously, because she was eating mutton all the time and she's like, I do what I want, it really took a toll on her. And a doctor in the 1840s, this is a direct quote by the way, like you would never get away with saying something like this in like TMZ. He said, she is more like a barrel than anything else. Imagine someone calling you a barrel. He basically predicted if she kept on eating, she would become enormously big. Enormously big, that's quite...
And she got so big that she abandoned her corset.
Yeah. So yeah, she abandoned her corset. She was like, F this. And she was described as very large, ruddy, and you guessed it, F-A-T, fat.
The funny thing is she's an absolute queen, and I don't mean in the literal sense. Because when doctors advised her to stop eating, she just added the diet foods on top of her existing diet.
So she was eating more.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I'm going to become vegan. I'll just eat what I'm eating now and add the vegan foods. That's such a queen thing to do. At the time, people thought that the female digestive system actually required like soft food and dainty food and bland food. And there's even a health book. What's it called?
A Young Woman's Book of Health.
Yes, in 1855, I think.
By William Alcott.
Yes, and he recommended like avoiding seasoned and what he calls exciting foods.
Wait.
As if they were poison.
Only in the Victorian era where seasoned food is considered exciting.
Can you imagine like women on top of having to only eat soft food like baby food, they couldn't even eat food with season. Like I can't even eat anything without salt. I mean, it's been suggested that the roots of anorexia lie in the Victorian era's idea of eating as basically unfeminine. It sounds so odd and ridiculous.
It does, because eating is so normal and natural.
Yeah, so in the Victorian era, they saw eating as unfeminine and very dangerously sexual.
How is eating sexual? Actually, I sort of see that, but because of the joy I get from eating. But how? How is it eating sexual? I don't get it.
You were literally belittled if seen eating in public. If you knew the history of ice cream cones, you would know this already.
I don't think I just have the history of ice cream cones up my sleeve.
You should. These kind of things are important. You know, before ice cream cones were made, you put ice cream in a cup. But then when ice cream cones were made, women were not allowed to actually buy them.
What?
Because they couldn't be seen eating an ice cream cone in public.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So it's kind of ridiculous.
It is quite ridiculous. So basically by not eating, young women essentially distance themselves from the taint of, you know, having a sexuality. So they try to obviously conform and demonstrate that they're proper, genteel, and you know, they have this moral high ground over other women who ate. And it essentially deprived them of other avenues for basically self-expression. And essentially, in their mind, declining or refusing to eat provided women with their own voice, which is sort of twisted when you think about it. And an actual historian, Joan Jacobs Broomberg, has essentially argued that young women were essentially searching for an idiom to say things about themselves, focused on food and the body.
Oh, I feel like this is like becoming a women's study lecture. Oh, we'll finish this. One more sentence.
Yeah.
The only way women could express themselves was through their body, because essentially that's the only thing that they could actually control.
Kind of sad.
Moving on. Okay, enough of the history lesson. This all sounds absurd to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's all ridiculous, honestly, but I've heard some serious, absurd celeb diets. It makes me think about the absurd celeb diets we have today. And the first person that comes to mind is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay, from Shallow Hal. That's all I know her from.
Yeah, she's an actress and she's also a food writer.
What is a food writer? Do you just write about food?
Yes.
Okay.
She has like several books about food
Oh,
and
so-
staying lean and stuff.
Oh, so not a food critic. Like, she writes about...
Food and recipes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
She has her moon dust diet. Everything is on gloop. Yes, gloop is an actual word. What is gloop?
Gloop sounds like slime that you throw in that you chuck on the ceiling.
Oh, okay, so it's very fitting. So she has this moon dust diet, and it's kind of...
I'm sorry, a moon dust diet?
I know, it sounds like out of this world. Honestly, it sounds
It is
so
out of
fake.
this world. It's moon dust.
It is out of this world, and you will realize that once we discuss this. It's a mix of ingredients, and the main ingredient, the key ingredient, is moon dust.
So apparently, put on your tinfoil hats. This is what moon dust essentially is.
So it's basically a blend of herbs, adaptogenic plants, and
Bioactive minerals.
yeah.
And essentially, according to Sweet Gwyneth, why am I so weird with people's names? No matter what you want, moon dust will be there for you. If you got a hot date, you can sprinkle some sex dust in your coffee. You have really shitty skin, beauty dust, that's all you need. And if you have, you know, your regular insomnia, just sip some good night dust, tea, and you will go to bed.
The way they're promoting this sounds like a vintage ad. You know those vintage ads where like, oh, are you fat?
Yes.
Just use this magic pill. Take it once a day and you'll lose 20 kilos overnight. It sounds so vintage and unreal. I can't believe it's...
It's like someone doing a parody of Gloop.
Yes. Oh,
But it is
do you know
Gloop.
what? That's what I took away from the website. I felt like I actually questioned whether this was the real website.
Like it was a social experiment.
Yeah, I'm like, is this sick? Is someone out there trying to scam us? Like, what is this? But it's actually her website. So... I did go on their website out of curiosity, and this is what I found. I'm like, you know what? I'm into smoothies. Yeah, and I make my smoothies from wherever I have at home. I don't buy anything special. But she says to make her magical weight loss smoothie, and this is only in the morning, you'll need to buy 4 ingredients. And each ingredient costs like, I don't know, $50.
Oh my god.
And I added up the 4 ingredients, and the total was $175 US dollars.
Oh my gosh.
As of today, if you convert that to Australian dollars, if you live in Australia, it's $243.56. That's a lot for a morning smoothie.
Wait, that's one morning smoothie?
No, you can make over several. You're taking the dramatic effects away. I think it will probably last you 2 weeks or so if you're making it every morning, considering the sizes.
To the
200
no, hell no.
$243 just for breakfast?
Use fruit like a normal person, honestly.
I know, eat the fruit. I'm like, you know what, this is too much. Let me look at the cheaper ingredients. One of the cheaper ingredients is ashwagandha. And ashwagandha, I've actually heard about it before. I don't know much about it, but I have heard about it. It has a lot of uses, but so far there isn't enough information to actually judge whether it's effective for any of them. Apparently it's good for stress and sleeping and things like that, but none of them have been proven. I don't think it will do, it's dangerous or will do any harm, but it's just so expensive. It was like $52. The generic Australian brand retails for around $20 for 90-day supply. Like, there's a huge discrepancy in price.
Yeah, there is a really big discrepancy.
Like, I know it's got moon dust, but seriously, like, have you weaved gold into the moon dust?
Now we sort of discussed how ridiculous the price of the ingredients. Let's delve into, and the ingredients itself, let's delve into sort of what they were thinking when they did this. So Amanda Bacon, who works for Gloop, this is basically how she said they came up with this magical idea. So this is a direct quote from her. Making the official formulas was really fun because I could take the properties I wanted to induce and the ingredients I wanted to focus on, and then I worked with a master traditional Chinese herbalist to really perfect them and make sure that they were the proper potency. The formulas aren't made up, they are combinations of tried and true wisdom that has been tested for much of human history. What do you think about that?
So you're selling us tea for $52?
Not only that, you're selling ancient traditions,
Yes.
westernizing it and selling it. That's how I took it.
Yeah, I mean, she did credit them, and
Oh,
she's
yeah,
like,
of course.
I didn't make this up, but I mean, you're making so much money out of something that is essentially so cheap. Like, if you go down to Chinatown
Yeah.
or anywhere traditional, Indian grocery store, those herbs and those ingredients are much cheaper.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you'll probably be getting better quality.
Yeah, of course. So, it's honestly quite ridiculous.
Yeah, and it kind of ties into capitalizing on insecurities and things like that. Like, the media makes us insecure so that we can buy their stuff.
Speaking of insecurities, if there's one person on the planet that you would say, like, the queen of the world, everyone looks up to, everyone wants to be this person, who would you say?
Celebrity-wise?
Yes.
Maybe Beyonce.
You're exactly right. Beyonce and Jay-Z have this plan. It's a vegan plan. And guess how much this plan costs? For 22 days. It's just a plan. For 22 days. How much do you think it costs?
My self-esteem.
It costs $600.
Wow, for 22 days?
Yes.
How much? Can we calculate how much that is per day? I just want to know.
$27.
$27 a day for your health? Oh, now that I say it like that.
No, but that could be a meal. That could be your food for the day.
Yeah, I mean, for a whole family, not just you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the meal plan. You still have to buy the food on top of that.
Yeah. Instead of following what Beyonce and Jay-Z are doing, it's just a vegan diet. Just go vegan with your friend for a month. It's really not that deep.
Yeah, the good thing about the world is we have Google at our fingertips. Seriously, they're just capitalizing on this trend.
But this sort of brings me to this dilemma, this question I have. How do celebrities get away with these scams? Like, I know it's not Gwyneth Paltrow, like, with her cauldron making this or, like, planning this, but how does she feel comfortable promoting, endorsing, putting her name on an ingredient that is not really that well researched, and, you know, the effects have been yet to be proven, and, you know, her products are sort of shit? Like, how do they sleep at night?
I know. And she also has like $60 stickers.
Yes! They're called healing stickers, actually.
I mean, come on.
They're to tune your
Frequency.
What the hell is that?
I mean, if I want to tune my frequency, I would just take a day off work, save that $60, and that's it for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy the stickers. Like, I wouldn't waste them on a day of work. When you told me about Gloop, I was like, whoa, is this even real? And I went online, and apparently she actually got a lot of criticism from doctors.
Good.
One of the doctors said, and I quote, "When you look at the actual medical side, the health side, they so rarely are promoting anything that is even vaguely healthy."
Wow.
Yeah, so this is from an actual doctor. This is what he actually said. You know the crap that she writes?
Oh my gosh.
It's just overwhelmingly mind-boggling for a doctor to see that. The number of people following it and going along with it is just terrifying. And it is terrifying because she has other things. She has things that you can insert in certain parts. And I am not a doctor, but I know as a woman That cannot be healthy. Like, I would not do that to myself. How does she get away with it?
Because don't you get like bacteria? You can get like bacterial infections and stuff like that. Please just do everything safely.
People probably don't have a clue what we're talking about.
Just don't use glue. Is what we're saying.
Jump on the website and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah. The website itself is not even an ad. It's honestly a deterrent from buying anything if you were to go on the website.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, but we see this a lot. We see a lot of influencers and celebrities selling things that I personally think
are a scam. I had to say it. I was holding it in.
I personally think that they shouldn't be selling that. It's not... I mean, you can sell whatever you want, but I don't think it's their place.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Tati Westbrook and her vitamins. She got a lot of attention for that.
Her gummy worms? What about them?
It was in... I think it was in March when she released like vitamins that promise better hair, better skin, better nails, basically a biotin. I just don't understand why influencers think they know enough about biochemistry to put their name on vitamins and stuff. I mean, it's not makeup, it is actually ingested.
Yeah.
And it's called Halo Beauty Vitamins, and I know she said that she's very passionate about it. That's all right. You know, I'm very passionate about vaccines. I don't go out and try to make them and sell them to people. It's different. The way I see it is that people spend their life studying biochemistry of, say, fat or hair or skin or whatever. And it takes a few more than a month of passion or two in a lab to say you have full knowledge of the stuff you're selling.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it would be like buying a concealer or highlighter from, say, I don't know, Samsung or McDonald's.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not experts in the field. And if Macca's tried to sell me a concealer or highlighter or whatever, I'd know that they're just trying to make money. Because it's not their field, it's not their expertise.
Yeah. And... like, I guess she's passionate about it and stuff. However, the problem is with something like that is there are a lot of stuff in the market to sort of get away with testing in a sense. Like, oh, they didn't die. This is safe to sell. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, the problem is when you're selling a product that is essentially a health product, I feel like I can't trust reviews and anecdotes and stuff like that. I feel like you need a proper,
clinical study.
Yeah, clinical study or trial, especially because like of pharmacy and stuff like that. I'm really like anal about stuff like that. Just because it's like a gummy vitamin, it's not a gummy vitamin. But just because it's a vitamin, you still need to test it. Like, do you get what I mean? Test it more.
And the human body is so complex. Like, anything that you put into your body could literally put it out of whack.
Like Coke. Not that Coke. Not that Coke.
We kind of went on a tangent because our podcast about dieting, we always end up talking about advertisements because they're just so ridiculous. Anyway, moving on.
Back to Coke. So, I'm pretty sure we've all heard of Warren Buffett, obviously. He basically promoted this idea that he consumes 5 Cokes, as in Coca-Cola, every day. It's every day, bro, with that Coca-Cola flow.
How old is he? Do you know?
He is 88 years old.
So he's 88, living off 5 Cokes a day?
Yep. And he told this magazine that he is 1/4 Coca-Cola.
That is funny because I'm kind of 1/4 Coca-Cola. No, I'm not.
But, talking about the 5 Coca-Cola diet a day, which sounds amazing, but please don't do it. There's this little conspiracy theory.
Yes.
That, Warren Buffett is a billionaire. He's an investor. There are some people who think that he's actually an investor in Coca-Cola. And he's, just trying to inspire everyone to drink some Coke while he secretly, slurps vitamin smoothies.
I think that's what's
in
happening.
Secret.
I doubt he's drinking 5 Cokes per day. He's a billionaire. He's got things to do. He's got a lot of work to be done. If he's drinking 5 Cokes per day, he's not being very productive.
Do you think he actually drinks 5 Cokes?
No, I don't think that's true at
But,
all.
Billionaires and entrepreneurs and stuff like that, they're so strange. Like, oh, I wake up at 3 a.m. and I climb a mountain. Like, I don't, 5 Cokes per day for, a weirdo, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but if he didn't have connections with Coca-Cola, maybe I'd believe him, but he kind of does. He's probably an investor. Moving on.
Wait, isn't that illegal? I just want to mention that. if you're like invested in something, like you have an investment or you own the company and you promote it without disclosing that you own the company. I'm pretty sure these celebrities are drawing like a really fine line.
They're walking a fine line.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
They're on thin ice. They're skating on thin ice.
On a tightrope.
Yes. Oh, the imagery. Anyway.
Another interesting celeb, speaking of advertisement and ridiculousness, is Usain Bolt and his 100 chicken nuggets a day diet.
First of all, what? Second of all, yum. I want to go on the 100 chicken nugget diet.
Well, now you can. And you can become an Olympic champion at the same time.
I don't know if that's possible with chicken nuggets. But I want... What? That sounds like a dream come true, honestly.
Yeah, he actually said it's like, I first ate a box of 20 for lunch and then another box for dinner. The next day I had 2 boxes for breakfast and then 1 for lunch and then a couple in the evening and then I slept with them. I woke up with them, blah, blah, blah. And then he even said I even grabbed some fries and apple pie to go with it. It sounds so like obvious that it's because of his McDonald's sponsorship. Like, how can you be an Olympic champion and eat 20 boxes of chicken nuggets a day?
I'm hungry. My stomach actually just grumbled. I want to do that. But as you said, this does sound like a McDonald's sponsorship. And, you know, McDonald's...
You know, if it's too good to be true...
Then it's probably not true.
Yes.
Oh, you just ruined my childhood.
Probably isn't.
Actually, McDonald's has actually gotten, you know, a big barrage of bad press from mainly public health groups. Obviously, it's Macca's. The reason why this is obviously a conflict and why public health groups, you know, write all these articles and stuff like that is when you have a place like McDonald's who sponsor the Olympics, you're basically undermining the emphasis of health and athleticism that the Olympics has by taking money from a place that essentially sells literal junk for your body.
I mean, it's not aligned with the Olympics values of hard work, healthy eating, active living at all. So it kind of doesn't make sense. And I know the American McDonald's cancelled its contract with the Olympic Committee last year. Yeah. And
really?
Yes.
Oh.
So they've had their contract since I think the early 1990s. A while now.
Ooh.
While the company kind of still has ties with, they don't have as much a footprint as they did in the past few years.
So I guess in a way that's sort of a step forward. We usually never talk about positive stuff.
Could be a good thing because I remember when I went to the Olympics in 2000.
You are old.
Yes, I am old. And yeah, we bought Macca's.
And you went to the Olympics with Macca's?
Yeah, we bought like burgers and drinks and we were eating junk, watching sport.
Oh my God.
It was so ironic. And then we finished the game and we bought more Macca's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was such a fun day.
What? This is not the message we want to be sending.
No, but what we're saying is that it's an absolute conflict.
It is. It is a conflict.
And it just goes to show that people out there are just trying to make money. They're not out there trying to sell you healthy stuff.
And they're not looking for your best interest.
No, it's all about their wallets and how to make them fat, fat, fat.
Okay, Dr. Seuss. So moving on, speaking of, like you said, wallets, Dolce & Gabbana, according to the International Business Times, they had an ad campaign featuring Madonna, and it popularized this French diet called l'air fooding.
Ooh, you totally butchered that, but go on.
L'air fooding.
Much better.
So this diet was featured in a French magazine called Grazia. It involves all the steps.
You know, using a French accent doesn't actually
make it French.
Make it French.
Okay, so it was in this magazine called Grazia, and this is the diet. Listen up. So it involves preparing your food. You know, you set it up in a plate and you bring it up to your mouth, but you don't eat it.
Like, you prepare your food, you bring it to your mouth, and breathe in the delicious aroma
without consuming a single of it.
That is going to sound so weird on a podcast.
I just invaded everyone's personal.
I mean, come on, the diet is fair. You're allowed to have boiled water with salt.
That's not so bad. Boiled water with salt?
At
is
least
this my
you
birthday?
can have water. I mean, that's just so ridiculous. The thing is, you know what makes me angry.
Everything.
I don't sound angry, but I am.
Yeah.
They're not trying to sell you anything, they're just trying to kill you.
I just realized that. What is Dolce & Gabbana gonna get from this?
Like, they're not trying to sell you air, because that's what the diet consists of, air. Why are you doing this? Like, why? Like, at least try to sell me something. I mean, where do they get these ideas from?
It gets worse. At least you're allowed to have water and salt. So there's this ancient Eastern belief called breatharianism, but basically they're breatharians. Individuals can survive on nothing. It's the idea that individuals can survive on nothing but sunlight. First of all, we're not plants, so I don't know how that works.
I mean, it would be like fasting. The difference between fasting and being a breatharian.
That's a mouthful. I'm pretty sure I butchered it, but welcome to the podcast.
Is that fasting eventually has an end point, but this concept is like a total fast for life. I mean, however long you live for, but you don't eat for life. I mean, that sounds so ridiculous. How are people promoting this? Okay, a little lesson. Do you know what happens when the human body goes without food and water?
What?
When you deprive your body of food and water, it at first breaks down glycogen, and then it's followed by protein, then fat. Okay, if you did eat science, you would know this. Then after it's broken down the glycogen, the protein and fat, and it gets no other energy source, that's when it gets really tricky. Our livers are actually responsible for turning fatty acids into byproducts called ketones.
Yeah.
And this is a normal process. It happens to everyone. However, if your body is producing too many ketones and there's just like a ketone overload, you go into what is called ketosis.
Oh.
We've all heard of ketosis, and we'll actually get to that in a minute.
But back to what you were saying, actually, what you're essentially describing is dehydration.
Yes, exactly.
But obviously when you're just relying on breathing, this has a really immediate and really fatal effect. Someone can only survive, we all know this, you can only survive without water for what? A couple of days, a week, 2 at most. So firstly, what would happen, the body would lose water through urine and obviously sweat. And then like you said, a person will then develop ketosis and uremia, which is basically when there's a buildup of toxins in the blood. Because you're not drinking water or anything, there's nothing to flush those things out.
Yeah, and that's when your organs begin to fail.
Yep. You'd get kidney failure, essentially.
Yes, and cardiac arrhythmia is just dehydration itself leads to like so many issues like brain damage or obviously
death. Yeah, like you said, cardiac arrhythmia, literally a heart attack.
For this diet to be in a magazine, why are they telling people to kill themselves?
It's self-harm if you would do something like that just to lose weight. It is a form of self-harm.
And I read online that there have actually been cases of people losing their lives on this diet.
Yeah, people lose their life from trying to lose weight, period. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I read somewhere a mother of 9, I think,
oh my gosh,
actually lost her life, and she was under the supervision of veterinarians. And you know, she thought that they're going to give her juice after the first week, but they refused. Her organs started failing and she died. She passed away.
That's murder. That's so sad and awful. We were talking about ketosis. Didn't you say you wanted to touch on something?
Yeah, I think the keto diet is kind of the fad right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, a huge number of celebrities have been linked with this, like Kim Kardashian and Alec Baldwin, and yeah, so a lot of celebrities have kind of endorsed this.
I don't even know what the keto diet is.
The premise is to eat very low carb or no carb, high fat, and moderate protein. And essentially your carbs only come from like your vegetables and your nuts and seeds. But basically you're eating a very high fat diet. And the aim of it is to push the body into a state of ketosis, which we spoke about
which is not
earlier.
good.
Yeah. Because obviously your body doesn't have the glucose from the carbohydrates, so instead it breaks down the fat to produce energy. Because remember how we said that the body initially breaks down glycogen,
yeah,
followed by protein and fat. Yeah, so it kind of skips a step and instead it breaks down fat to produce energy. That's the premise of it.
I've actually heard people say stuff like the keto diet, like it cures cancer and things like that.
I mean, it's just an insult.
It really is.
It's an insult to those who are suffering with cancer, because you absolutely cannot.
They do that with every fad diet, like this cures this cures that, like
especially cancer. Do you know people are in labs working day to night trying to find the cure for cancer, and you are telling me you found the cure for cancer? I find that to be so insulting.
And essentially what the keto diet sounds like is you're essentially just cutting out everything. If you cut out carbs, you can't have pasta.
Most likely.
You can't have bread. You can't have anything that makes life remotely interesting.
The reason you lose weight is not because you're cutting out carbs. It's kind of what is associated with carbs. Like if you're eating pasta, most likely you're eating it with creamy sauce.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like if you're eating bread, you're probably adding the butter. You know, if you're cutting out biscuits, you're not cutting out the carbs, it's the sugar. So it's kind of the byproduct of what you're cutting out, like the things that come with it, than the actual carbs itself.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's kind of like when usually people go vegan, they mainly just stick to fruits and vegetables as opposed to, because like refined food is associated with non-vegan. It's kind of the same idea.
Yeah,
this like domino effect of cutting out.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't have the wrong idea. I remember one day I turned on the TV in the morning and there was a news segment about this couple who were vegan, and their 4-year-old had the body weight of a two-year-old because they were basically starving. He wasn't getting the basic nutrition, and everyone was like, you know, this is what veganism is about. No, it's not, because they've obviously taken the wrong message away from it. And we're not here to promote anything. We're not here to promote the keto diet or veganism. We're not here to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've got to be smart about these things. You've got to be smart about having a balance, which is so cliche.
I know, no matter if you're vegan, vegetarian, whatever you are, the key to life, the answer to most things in life is just balance, honestly.
And if you are creating a chemical imbalance in your body, like, what do you expect? Why? What do you expect? Like, honestly, like, why would you want to have more fat than carbs? Why can't you have both? The thing is, you get the keto flu, but my question is, why would you want to self-induce those symptoms that come with it? Our bodies are extremely clever, and when something isn't right, they tend to tell us. And that's just logical. I mean, we're not experts, but it seems so logical and straightforward.
Yeah, and it's so ridiculous because the answer is actually a lot more simple than I feel like people think. But then we have loads of people who promote these things, and they don't even understand how food is actually digested, and that the human body is really complicated in a way. And it's almost impossible to pinpoint, you know, cause and effect, like if you eat this happens, blah, blah, blah. And even doctors who we see promote certain diets and certain ways of living, even some of them are being paid to do so. And even doctors, which is kind of sad to think about, don't have your best interest at heart. So before you go on a diet, think twice or 3 times, because sometimes, you know, a diet can do more harm than good. By the way, not all doctors. We always have to say that. Like, when we say, like, this person, like, I don't mean, like, all the people. Anyways.
Yeah. Earlier in this podcast, we talked about the biochemistry and mathematics of fat.
Boring, but yes.
Yeah, and we'll have the link down below if you're interested. It's actually quite interesting.
It is. I hate math, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so my rule of thumb is, if you do not understand the mathematics of fat, if you do not understand that you just need to eat less, move more to lose weight, then I am not buying anything from you. That's my rule of thumb. And also, if it's like too much or not healthy for a child or an older person, then stay away from it. Like, for a keto diet, can you imagine what that is doing to their cardiovascular system? Like, if an older person went on a keto diet and their body is trying to turn all this fat into energy, I can't imagine what it's doing to their systems. Like, if it's not healthy for an elderly person or a child, then I would think twice about it. Because over time, your systems will be overworked and you could face like some serious issues. Imagine your body working day and night, trying to sort out all that fat or all that sugar, like no matter what it is.
Sorry, I was thinking of Michael Jackson song. Anyways, basically, just don't pay anyone to tell you what your body needs. I'm talking about the average person, because obviously there are some people that need to see nutritionists for health reasons.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm talking about the average person.
The fad diets. What you see in magazines.
Yeah, what you see in magazines. You know your body. Everybody is different. You know what works for you. And your body does... This is going to sound so hippie, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but... You know, your body tells you what it wants. It really speaks to you. And if something is wrong, your body usually lets you know. We're all educated enough to have a general idea of what health is, what is healthy and what isn't. And I'm pretty sure we can all make really informed decisions about healthy eating with honestly a little bit of research.
Yeah, and you know, we get all that for free. Those scammers out there, and I'm going to call them scammers because it is a scam. It's not their expertise. It's not their profession. Why are they selling us these kind of stuff?
Yeah, Gwyneth.
Doesn't make sense to me. It would be like me trying to sell you a car. Oh, people actually do that. It would be like Jake Paul trying to sell things to kids.
Yeah,
like it's not your
yeah.
It's not your thing. Your channel's nothing about that. Like, what's going on?
Exactly. We can't get rid of the Jake Paul, can we? Anyways, basically, in conclusion, to sort of wrap this up, everything is ridiculous.
Wow, that's such a well thought out conclusion.
Everything is ridiculous. We basically concluded everything already, you know.
Yeah, just be mindful about what you see. And we did go through the most ridiculous like diets. Like looking back at history, it sounds so ridiculous to us. And even in the early 2000s with, you know, Christina Aguilera saying she eats like one color food a day diet. Or, you know, do you remember that fad with the cotton balls where people were eating cotton balls? I feel like just when a fad diet comes out, think in 10 years time, in 5 years time, looking back, would I actually consider this? Because it's only when time passes that people look back on this and kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Because they're able to have that fresh perspective.
It's kind of like fashion through the ages. Like, you look back at your outfit 5 years ago and you're like, why did you do that? But if you stick to very basic clothing, it's pretty timeless.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes, that's
That was
true.
a weird analogy, but I had to wrap it up somehow. And I guess that concludes the podcast. That is the end of the podcast.
Yes, thank you for sticking.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking here. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, this is the end of the podcast. Thank you actually, like for real, so much for watching. I can't believe that there are people who actually watched to the end. If someone watched to the end of the podcast, they should comment something. What should they comment?
Maybe we shouldn't use a word this week. We would really like to know the most ridiculous diets you've heard of or tried.
Yep. And if you haven't tried one, just comment about how amazing your life is.
Yes. Tell us how.
So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I was going to say watching. And yeah, this is me signing off.
And this is Nora, also me, signing off.
Goodbye.
Just remember you always stay